I'm Kassahun Checole, publisher of Africa All Press and Red Sea Press. I've known Gloria since the 1970s, I don't know exact times. One thing I remember about Gloria very vividly is her love of Africa, which I wish we had a discussion on, because she really felt a very unique connection to Africa. She spent a lot of energy traveling there, studying the culinary art, the fashion, the design, just simply the air and space of Africa. She loved the culinary art, talking about what she did in Africa. Gloria and I talked about the possibility, and I think you remember that, Kim, of her doing a book on a travel book that will look at the various countries in Africa through their fashion, through their jewelry, through their art. It never materialized, but the idea always fascinated me. It would have to be a big coffee table book of pictures and images and narrative, of course, of her experiences, and giving people a cultural view of those countries that she loved most, Senegal in particular, where she traveled quite a bit, Southern Africa, and what have you. But the notion that Gloria, as a scholar and as an activist, always thought of the connection between Africa and African American life and conditions is very touching in many ways. And that's implied also in her scholarship. The conference she went, I always saw her at the African Association annual conferences. I remember we had a very vivid discussion in New Orleans when the association had a meeting there. We were part of a group discussing the propensity of that association to be mainly white dominated. That the African scholars, African American scholars, were never really in a very visible fashion. She played a role in saying, look, you get to engage yourself with the African American community. You cannot call yourself African Studies Association and then simply close yourself in a hotel room and discuss Africa out of the context of the African American history and conditions. It was a very valid discussion, which is still true by and large. African studies is still up there as in anthropology and sociology as something quite up in the sky. It doesn't come down to ground. We have over 40 million people of African descent here whose Africa touches them personally on the one-to-one basis. To them, what goes on in the lives of Africa is very much related to their own lives. We are now at a time when Obama, an African American, is the president of this country. I should say this is the first time that an African has become a president of a major Western power. And that changes the balance of power within the systems of race and politics. Not that it's going to make a tremendous amount of change in Africa itself, because change in Africa has to come from the Africans themselves, not from outside. But the perception, the imagery, the imagination that Obama represents to young Africans is historical. It's phenomenal. Don't even mention African Americans. That's a different category in itself. So her passing at this stage is sad, but it's also a tremendously timely way in which she saw a unique transition in her life and in our lives to see Obama in power and an African in a state of power. We can never define the course of life the way it was. It has to be the way it will be beginning now. So we will miss Gloria. She made her contribution. She was very touching as a person, very supportive in many ways. For us as a press, she really appreciated what we were doing. She gave always encouraging words and ideas. So she would miss much. Thank you.